When you think of Antarctica, you probably picture endless ice, a place so cold and so unforgiving that it's hard to imagine anything ever living there. And honestly, that seems like the only explanation. It's at the South Pole. Of course it's frozen. Except, that's not why Antarctica became an icy desert. Because millions of years ago, this same continent looked completely different. Dense forests stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Rivers carved through the landscape. The air was warm. Life was everywhere. But there's one problem. Those forests weren't growing before Antarctica reached the South Pole. They were growing while it was already there. So if being at the South Pole wasn't enough to freeze Antarctica, what finally did? Because the answer isn't just the story of one continent, it's the story of how the modern Earth was created. To understand how Antarctica changed the world, we first have to forget everything we know about it. Imagine standing on this continent, not surrounded by endless ice, but by endless green, towering trees stretching toward the sky, rivers winding through dense forests, ferns covering the forest floor, the air filled with the sound of insects, life everywhere. This wasn't some isolated patch of woodland. It was a thriving ecosystem that endured for millions of years. Dinosaurs wandered beneath its forests. Early mammals lived among the undergrowth. Life had found a way to flourish at the bottom of the world. And even then, Antarctica still experienced something extraordinary. Just like today, the sun disappeared for months every single year. Entire forests spent long polar winters in complete darkness, only to burst back to life when the sunlight finally returned. These weren't forests growing in spite of the seasons. They had evolved to survive them. Scientists know this wasn't imagination. They've uncovered fossilized tree trunks, ancient leaves, pollen preserved inside rock, and vast coal deposits, all left behind by forests that once covered this frozen continent. Every discovery tells the same story. Antarctica wasn't briefly green. It remained green for an incredibly long time. And that's exactly what makes this so difficult to explain. Because even after months without sunlight, those forests kept coming back. So how could a rainforest survive at the South Pole? If you could travel back to that ancient Antarctica, the strangest thing wouldn't be the forests. It would be the temperature. You wouldn't need a heavy winter coat. You wouldn't even recognize the climate. Because the Earth itself was different. The planet wasn't trapped in an ice age. It wasn't even trying to become one. It was holding on to far more heat than it does today. Imagine wrapping yourself in a thicker blanket. You don't create more body heat. You simply lose less of it. Earth worked the same way. Its atmosphere held on to much more warmth, allowing even the far south to remain surprisingly mild. And Antarctica wasn't alone. From the equator to the poles, the entire planet was warmer, which means Antarctica wasn't some miraculous exception. It was simply part of a completely different Earth. Suddenly, the rainforest doesn't seem impossible anymore. It becomes exactly what we'd expect. Because this wasn't a frozen planet hiding one warm continent. It was a warm planet where Antarctica simply belonged. But climates don't stay the same forever. Neither does the planet beneath our feet. The continents are always moving, usually so slowly that we never notice. But given enough time, those tiny movements can reshape the entire world. Over millions of years, the ancient supercontinent slowly began to break apart. Australia drifted north, South America moved away, and Antarctica was left behind. At first, almost nothing seemed different. The forests still stood, the rivers still flowed. Life carried on, but beneath the surface, the planet was changing. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but slowly and relentlessly. With every passing million years, Antarctica became more isolated from the rest of the world. At first, that didn't seem to matter, but it would become one of the most important changes in Earth's history. So why did Antarctica's isolation matter? Because for millions of years, there was one thing the ocean could never do. It couldn't flow all the way around Antarctica. Australia stood in the way. South America blocked the other side. Those continents acted like enormous barriers, forcing the oceans to change direction before they could complete the journey. But as millions of years passed, those barriers slowly disappeared. Australia drifted farther north. South America finally pulled away. And for the first time in Earth's history, nothing was left to stop the ocean. Water could now flow all the way around Antarctica. Not toward it, not away from it, around it, again and again and again. That endless river of moving water became an invisible, powerful barrier. Warm water from the north could no longer easily reach Antarctica. At the same time, the amount of carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere was slowly declining, allowing more of the planet's heat to escape into space. Neither change alone may have been enough, but together they pushed Antarctica past a tipping point. Scientists call that endless ring of water the Antarctic Circumpolar Current. Today, it is the strongest ocean current on Earth. And once it formed, there was no turning back. Once that endless current surrounded Antarctica, the transformation didn't happen overnight. At first, the changes were almost impossible to notice. Each winter, a little more ice remained. Each summer, a little less of it melted away. Year after year, thousand after thousand, the ice slowly spread across the continent. Forests gave way to glaciers. The green world that had survived for millions of years gradually disappeared beneath the ice. But Antarctica wasn't changing alone. As the ice expanded, it reflected more of the sun's energy back into space, like an enormous mirror. The planet cooled a little more, which allowed even more ice to grow. And the cycle repeated, again and again. Over millions of years, Earth settled into a completely different balance. The oceans carried heat differently. Climate patterns slowly shifted. The world continued to change until it became the planet we know today. When you think of Antarctica, it's easy to picture nothing more than an endless wilderness of ice. But now you know, you're looking at far more than a frozen continent. You're looking at one of the greatest turning points in Earth's history, a place whose transformation helped shape the climate, the oceans, and the world we inherited. The next time you look at Antarctica, don't just see a frozen continent, see one of the greatest turning points in Earth's history. Because beneath that endless ice isn't just the memory of a rainforest, it's the story of how our world became the world we know today. If this changed the way you see Antarctica, subscribe and join me as we uncover the hidden stories that shaped our world. I'll see you in the next one.